There's a moment in everyone's life when you wake up and realize you've been living on autopilot. You've been following rules you never agreed to. You've been chasing approval from people who wouldn't notice if you stopped showing up tomorrow. You start asking yourself, is this it? Is this all there is? And that's the moment everything can change if you're brave enough to face the truth. Because the truth is, life isn't about comfort. It's about becoming someone you can respect when no one's watching. It's about standing tall when everything around you tries to pull you down. It's about learning lessons so powerful, so raw, that once you absorb them, you can't go back. You'll never see the world the same way again. You see, most people sleepwalk through life. They avoid pain. They chase shortcuts. They bend their values just to fit in. They call it survival. But what it really is surrender. And that's why so few people ever change. They want transformation without the truth. They want growth without grit. They want confidence without courage. But you're here because something inside you is restless. You can feel that whisper that says, I'm meant for more. Maybe you don't have all the answers yet. Maybe you've failed, been hurt, or betrayed. Maybe you've had to smile through the kind of pain no one ever saw. But I want you to hear this. Those moments weren't meant to break you. They were meant to wake you. This right now is your wake-up call. Because once you learn the lessons life has been trying to teach you, the ones hiding behind the pain, the fear, the rejection, you will never be the same. You will see yourself differently. You will move differently. You will carry yourself like someone who knows exactly who they are. Because you earned that knowledge the hard way. So tonight, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. This is not a speech about motivation. This is a message about transformation. The kind that happens when you stop running from life and start mastering it. Because once you learn these life lessons, you'll never go back to who you were before. You'll never think the same, love the same, or fear the same. You'll become someone unstoppable. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And that's where our story begins. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control everything around them. Their circumstances, other people, outcomes, opinions, even time itself. They fight battles they can't win, exhaust themselves trying to fix what was never theirs to fix. And in the process, they lose the one thing they actually can control themselves. The truth is, the world doesn't bend for you. It doesn't adjust itself to your expectations, your timing, or your comfort. Life moves how it wants to move. And if you keep trying to force it into your plan, you'll end up bitter, exhausted, and resentful. But when you learn to master yourself, your reactions, your discipline, your emotions, your focus, that's when the game changes. That's when you become powerful in a way that no one can take away from you. Self-mastery isn't about pretending to be calm when you're falling apart inside. It's about choosing calm even when chaos surrounds you. It's about saying, this situation doesn't get to control me. I control how I show up. That's power. That's leadership. That's strength. Because let's be honest, you can't control what people say about you. You can't control if someone betrays you, leaves you, misunderstands you, or judges you. You can't control the weather, the economy, or the past. But you can control whether you let it break your spirit or build your resilience. You can control your effort, your attitude, your consistency, and your character. And that's where freedom begins. When you stop chasing control of the external and start mastering the internal. Think about it. Every time you get angry over something you can't change, you're giving your power away. Every time you let someone's words dictate your mood, you hand over the steering wheel of your life. Every time you let fear stop you from acting, you become a prisoner in your own mind. Self-mastery is the art of reclaiming that control. Of saying, you don't get to decide how I feel today. I do. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be. Mastery requires awareness. It means catching yourself in the moment when your temper spikes, when your doubts start talking, when your old habits whisper, just give up. That's the battle. Not the one out there, but the one in here, inside your head. Most people never win that battle because they never even realize they're in one. They live on autopilot, reacting instead of responding, blaming instead of building, waiting for something outside of them to change. But those who understand self-mastery know that the fight is internal. They wake up every day and choose discipline over distraction, growth over comfort, patience over impulse. That's why truly powerful people don't need to control others. They control themselves. And because of that, they become unshakable. You see, the strongest person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who can stay centered when everyone else loses their cool. The one who listens instead of reacts. The one who can walk away from chaos without needing the last word. The one who knows that peace is power and it's not for sale. If you want to change your life, stop asking, how do I make them change? And start asking, how do I change the way I respond? Because the moment you shift your focus inward, everything around you starts to shift too. Your relationships improve because you're no longer ruled by ego. Your career advances because you become dependable under pressure. Your self-respect grows because you stop betraying yourself to please others. That's what mastery looks like. Calm confidence, born from inner discipline. And discipline is everything. You cannot master yourself without mastering your habits. Every decision you make, every thought you feed, every action you take, that's who you become. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. So if you want to be in control of your life, start by controlling the small things. Your morning routine, the way you speak to yourself, how you spend your time, what you consume. Not just food, but information, conversations, energy. Because here's the truth. If you can't control what you put in your mouth, what makes you think you can control what comes out of your mouth when you're angry? If you can't master showing up for yourself on the days you don't feel like it, how will you show up when life really tests you? Self-mastery starts with the small disciplines that no one sees but that build the character everyone feels. Now, this doesn't mean becoming emotionless. It means becoming emotionally intelligent, knowing when to speak and when to be silent, when to fight and when to walk away, when to push harder and when to rest. Mastery is not about suppressing who you are. It's about directing your power so it serves you, not destroys you. And when you reach that level, people will notice. They'll wonder why they can't provoke you anymore, why their opinions no longer define you, why you don't flinch under pressure. That's because you've learned to respond, not react, to pause, not panic, to act from strength, not from fear. There's an incredible peace that comes with realizing you don't have to control everything, that your energy is better spent mastering your thoughts than managing everyone else's behavior. The more you let go of what you can't control, the more powerful you become. Because you're no longer tied to the chaos. You become the calm in the storm, the still point in the spinning world. So ask yourself, where are you giving your power away? Who or what still triggers you? What do you keep trying to fix that was never yours to fix? Write it down, then let it go. That's not your burden anymore. Your job is to control what's in your reach, your focus, your effort, your integrity, your peace. Everything else will unfold how it's meant to. Life gets easier, not because the challenges disappear, but because you stop fighting battles that don't belong to you. You stop arguing with reality. You stop needing to win every fight, be right every time, or prove every point. You just become grounded, steady, free. And when that happens, when you learn to master yourself, no one can manipulate you, intimidate you, or break you. You'll walk through fire and keep your cool. You'll stand in front of chaos and stay composed. Because real power doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. Real power whispers, I'm in control of me. That's self-mastery, and once you learn it, you will never be the same. Pain has a way of showing up uninvited. It doesn't ask for permission, it doesn't knock politely, and it doesn't care whether you're ready for it or not. It walks straight into your life, flips everything upside down, and dares you to figure out who you really are. Most people run from it. They bury it under distractions, work, noise, screens, relationships, anything to avoid feeling what hurts. But the truth is this: the more you run from pain, the more control it gains over you. The only way to truly move past pain is to walk straight through it. Pain is not your enemy, it's your instructor. It's the teacher that shows up when you've been ignoring the lesson. Every hardship, every heartbreak, every disappointment carries a message. Something inside you needs to grow. Pain exposes your limits so you can expand them. It reveals what you depend on, what you fear, what you avoid. It strips away the illusions you've built about yourself. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Growth always is. But without pain, there is no evolution. Think about the most defining moments of your life. They weren't the easy ones. You didn't become who you are because everything went according to plan. You became stronger because something tested you. You learned resilience not from comfort, but from being broken, humiliated, rejected, or betrayed, and then deciding that would not be your ending. Every scar tells a story of survival. Every tear shed carved wisdom into your soul. That's the price of growth. But it's also the reward. The problem is that we've been taught to treat pain like a disease. We see it as a sign of weakness instead of what it truly is, a signal for transformation. When you avoid pain, you avoid progress. You end up stuck, numb, but never healed. You hide from hard conversations, stay in jobs that drain you, relationships that suffocate you, routines that deaden you, all because you're afraid of the discomfort that comes with change. But here's the truth. Staying stuck hurts far more than growth ever will. One pain leads to healing. The other leads to regret. Pain is honest. It doesn't lie to you. It tells you exactly where you're wounded and what still needs work. If you feel jealousy, it means you're disconnected from your own potential. If you feel rejection, it means you tied your worth to someone's opinion. If you feel fear, it means you've forgotten your strength. Every painful emotion is feedback, a mirror showing you something about yourself that you need to face. The question is, will you listen? Because most people don't. They silence pain with temporary relief, a drink, a distraction, a fake smile, another scroll through the phone. They patch a bullet wound with a band-aid. And then they wonder why the same problems keep showing up in different forms. The universe will keep sending you the same lesson, just in new packaging, until you finally learn it. You can't heal what you refuse to feel. Pain demands presence. It demands honesty. It forces you to stop running and sit in the fire for a while. And that's terrifying, but that's also where the alchemy happens. When you sit with your pain long enough, it transforms. It becomes strength. It becomes clarity. It becomes compassion. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? I want you to think of pain as resistance training for the soul. Just like muscles grow stronger by tearing and rebuilding, your character grows through the pressure of adversity. Every time you endure something you thought would break you, you build a deeper kind of strength. Not the kind that brags or flexes, but the quiet, unshakable kind that no one can see until life tests you again. There's a certain power that comes from surviving your own storms. You stop fearing life because you've already faced its worst, and you're still standing. You learn to trust yourself because you've seen your own resilience in action. Pain takes you to the edge of who you think you are, and then it dares you to step beyond it. That's why people who have truly faced pain have a different energy. You can feel it when they walk into a room. They don't need to prove anything. They've been through the fire. They've cried the tears. They've been humbled and rebuilt. Their strength is not loud. It's grounded. They carry themselves with a kind of quiet confidence that only comes from surviving what others couldn't. But don't misunderstand, this isn't about romanticizing suffering. Pain is not something you seek out. It's something you respect. It's something you learn from, not live in. The goal is not to stay in pain. It's to extract the wisdom from it and move forward wiser, sharper, freer. You have two choices when pain shows up. Let it define you, or let it refine you. One will trap you in victimhood. The other will forge you into something extraordinary. Every setback can either become your story of defeat or your story of rebirth. It's not about what happens to you. It's about what you decide to do with it. The moment you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what now? That's the moment you take your power back. That's when pain stops being punishment and becomes purpose. Because once you've gone through the kind of hurt that breaks you open, you start seeing the world differently. You become more empathetic, more real. You recognize the pain in others, and instead of judging, you understand. You stop running from people who are hurting because you know what it's like to hurt. That's the hidden gift of pain. It connects us. It softens us where we were once hard and strengthens us where we were once weak. Sometimes pain isn't here to destroy you. It's here to clear out what doesn't belong. It removes illusions. It tears away false attachments. It forces you to confront what's real. You'll lose people you thought you needed, jobs you thought defined you, dreams you thought were everything. And it will feel like the end. But it's not. It's a beginning disguised as loss. Because on the other side of that pain, you'll find yourself stripped down, raw, real, and ready. Ready to build a life that's not based on fear, but on truth. Ready to stop pretending and start living. Ready to love yourself enough to face discomfort head on. That's the irony. The pain you avoid most is often the doorway to the version of you you've been searching for. You just have to walk through it. So the next time life hurts, when the relationship ends, when the job falls apart, when you fail, when you lose, don't just reach for the nearest escape. Stop. Breathe. Listen. Ask yourself, what is this moment trying to teach me? The answer might not come right away, but it will come. And when it does, you'll realize that pain was never your enemy. It was your guide. It was sculpting you into someone wiser, braver, more grounded, and more awake. You don't grow in comfort. You grow in confrontation. With life, with others, with yourself. Pain is not the end of your story. It's the proof that you're alive, that you're evolving, that you're in the process of becoming someone new. Once you learn to stop running from it, once you see pain not as punishment but as a passage, you will never be the same again. Courage is not about being fearless. It's about moving forward even when your hands shake, your voice trembles, and your heart pounds so loudly you can barely hear your own thoughts. Most people think courage is loud and dramatic, the big cinematic moments of bravery. But the truth is, courage often happens quietly in the small, invisible choices that no one claps for. It's the decision to show up again after failure, to speak the truth when it would be easier to stay silent, to walk away from what's comfortable because you know it's no longer right for you. Every choice you make builds or breaks you. Every time you choose comfort over courage, you teach yourself to play small. And every time you choose courage, even in the smallest way, you remind yourself that you're capable of so much more than your fear wants you to believe. Comfort feels good, but it keeps you stuck. It whispers to you, stay here. It's safe. Don't risk it. Don't change. And for a while, it feels right. You convince yourself that stability is happiness, that predictability is peace. But deep down, there's a voice that knows better. It knows you're settling. It knows that comfort is the enemy of growth. Because the moment you stop stretching, you start shrinking. Courage doesn't guarantee success, but comfort guarantees stagnation. That's the trade-off. Courage demands risk, effort, and sometimes heartbreak. But it also brings life, real life. The kind that makes you proud of the person you see in the mirror. The kind that makes your days matter. We live in a world obsessed with safety. Safe choices, safe conversations, safe dreams. We protect ourselves from failure so fiercely that we end up protecting ourselves from success too. But courage asks something different from you. It asks for vulnerability. It asks you to walk into uncertainty and trust yourself enough to figure it out as you go. The truth is, every great thing you've ever wanted lives on the other side of discomfort. That dream career, that healthy relationship, that self-respect you've been craving, all of it requires courage. You can't build confidence sitting in the same space that broke you. You can't grow by repeating yesterday. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable long enough to evolve. And that's the thing about courage. It's not a one-time event. It's a muscle. It grows stronger every time you use it, and weaker every time you ignore it. Every time you avoid hard conversations, you train your brain to fear confrontation. Every time you procrastinate on your goals, you teach yourself that your comfort matters more than your calling. But every time you take a step, even a shaky one, in the direction of what scares you, you reclaim a piece of your power. People often think courage means doing something massive, quitting your job, moving across the world, standing on a stage. But sometimes courage looks like getting out of bed when you'd rather give up. Sometimes it's sending the apology, asking for help, or saying no when everyone expects you to say yes. Courage is personal. It's not about impressing others. It's about being true to yourself. You won't always get it right. You'll make mistakes. You'll fall. You'll question yourself. But that's part of the process. Courage doesn't eliminate failure. It teaches you how to face it. When you fall and get back up, you build resilience. When you fail but keep going, you build grit. When you face rejection but continue to believe in yourself, you build unshakable confidence. Think about the moments you regret most in life. They're rarely the times you tried and failed. They're the times you didn't try at all. The words you never said, the risks you never took. The dreams you talked yourself out of because fear convinced you it wasn't the right time. Regret is the ghost of the courage you refused to claim. And make no mistake, fear never really goes away. It just changes shape. The goal isn't to get rid of fear, it's to act anyway. Courage is fear walking forward. It's not about the absence of fear, it's about refusing to be ruled by it. The people you admire most, the ones who inspire you, who seem unbreakable, they're not fearless. They've just made peace with fear. They've learned to carry it without letting it drive. Courage will always demand sacrifice. You might lose people who don't understand your choices. You might lose comfort, stability, or approval. But what you gain is far greater. Self-respect, integrity, freedom. You gain a life that's yours, not one that's dictated by fear or expectation. And yes, courage hurts. Sometimes. It hurts to walk away from the familiar. It hurts to fail in public. It hurts to be misunderstood. But that pain is temporary. The pain of staying small lasts forever. Courage asks you to bet on yourself, and that's the one bet in life that's always worth taking. Every time you make a decision, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Are you voting for courage, or are you voting for comfort? Because those small choices add up. They shape your identity. They define your future. Courage builds character. Comfort builds excuses. The truth is, no one becomes great by staying comfortable. Every strong, successful, grounded person you've ever looked up to has walked through fear, failure, and doubt. They didn't wait for the right moment. They created it. They acted while afraid, spoke while trembling, stood up when they wanted to hide. That's what separates those who grow from those who just exist. So if you're waiting for the fear to go away before you start, you'll be waiting forever. You don't need confidence before you take the leap. Confidence comes after the leap. When you realize you survived, courage comes first. It always does. And here's something powerful. Every act of courage expands your life. The first time you speak your truth, it's terrifying. The second time, it's easier. The third time, it's freedom. Courage compounds. It's like a ripple effect. One brave act creates another and another until you look back and realize you've built a life that once scared you to death. You'll never regret being brave. Even when it hurts, even when it costs you, courage always pays you back in growth. It builds you from the inside out. It turns fear into strength, pain into wisdom, and doubt into determination. So the next time you're standing at a crossroads, one path lined with comfort, the other with courage, ask yourself who you want to be. Do you want the easy now or the powerful later? Because the easy choice today often becomes the heavy regret tomorrow. But the hard choice, the brave choice, that's the one that changes everything. Every day you're building yourself brick by brick, choice by choice. The question is, are you building a fortress of fear or a foundation of courage? One will protect you but keep you trapped. The other will expose you but set you free. In the end, courage isn't about never falling. It's about refusing to stay down. It's about walking through the fire knowing you might get burned, but trusting that you'll rise stronger for it. Because every time you choose courage over comfort, you rewrite your story, you take control, you evolve, and once you live that way boldly, truthfully, courageously, you will never be the same again. There comes a point in life when pretending becomes too heavy to carry. You wake up one day and realize that you've spent years editing yourself just to fit into rooms that were never built for you. You smile when you don't mean it, agree when you want to scream, and shrink just enough so that no one feels threatened by your light. You tell yourself it's easier this way, easier to blend in, easier to be liked, easier to avoid judgment. But what you don't realize is that every time you do this, you trade a piece of your truth for temporary approval, and that's a bad deal. We live in a world that teaches us to perform instead of to live. From the time we're young, we're told who to be, what to believe, how to look, and what success should mean. We become masters of adaptation, changing our tone, our style, even our dreams, to fit someone else's version of acceptable. But deep down, there's always that quiet voice that says, "This isn't me," and the longer you ignore it, the louder it gets. Authenticity is not a trend or a buzzword. It's the most powerful form of freedom. When you stop pretending and start owning who you are, every flaw, every scar, every contradiction, you stop living for permission and start living with purpose. You become untouchable, not because everyone approves of you, but because you no longer need them to. The truth is, people don't connect with perfection. They connect with real. They connect with honesty, with vulnerability, with the rawness of someone brave enough to say, "This is me, take it or leave it." And ironically, the moment you stop trying to be what others want, the right people start showing up. The ones who value your authenticity instead of your act. Pretending is exhausting. You spend energy building masks, maintaining appearances, managing impressions. You end up performing instead of living. And the worst part is that even when people like you, they don't actually like you. They like the version you built for them. So you keep performing, hoping it'll finally feel good, but it never does. Because no amount of external validation can replace internal alignment. Living authentically doesn't mean you have to announce everything you feel or rebel against every expectation. It simply means you stop abandoning yourself for acceptance. It means you trust your intuition more than you fear other people's opinions. It means you start standing in your truth, calmly, quietly, consistently, until it becomes second nature. Authenticity is power because it's rooted in truth. And truth is something people feel. When you speak from your heart, when you act from integrity, when you show up as yourself without apology, that energy commands respect. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because authenticity is rare in a world addicted to facades. But being authentic isn't always easy. It takes courage to show up real in a world that rewards fake. It takes strength to admit, "I don't have it all together." It takes guts to say, "I was wrong," or "I'm not okay." But that's the kind of strength that builds connection. The kind that makes people trust you, follow you, believe you. Realness cuts through the noise because it's human, and we are all starving for human. There's this myth that authenticity will make people like you less. And yes, some will fall away, some will reject you because your truth makes them uncomfortable. But let them go. You can't lose what's real. You'll only lose the people who were attached to your mask. And that's not loss. That's liberation. Because when you start living honestly, you start attracting honestly. The fake falls away, and what remains is solid. The hardest part of authenticity is the transition, that awkward, messy middle where you're no longer pretending, but you're not yet comfortable being fully seen. It's scary to step out of the role you've played for so long. You might feel lost, exposed, even guilty for changing, but that's growth. That's you shedding the old identity that was built on survival and stepping into one that's built on truth. The moment you stop pretending, you begin to rebuild your life from the inside out. Your choices become clearer. You stop chasing approval and start chasing alignment. You stop asking, what do they think? And start asking, what do I believe? You stop negotiating your boundaries just to keep peace, and instead you find peace in your boundaries. And let's be honest, authenticity doesn't make life easier. In fact, it often makes it harder in the beginning, because now you're going to disappoint people who benefited from your silence. You're going to confuse people who only knew your mask, but in time, you'll realize that losing people who can't handle your truth is far better than keeping people who only tolerate your lie. When you start owning who you are, you begin to walk differently. You speak differently, you carry yourself differently. There's a quiet confidence that comes from not needing to prove anything. You no longer chase validation. You embody it. You no longer fear rejection. You understand it's simply redirection toward where you actually belong. And this is where the real power lives. Because once you're authentic, you can't be manipulated. You can't be guilt-tripped into being who you're not. You can't be controlled by the fear of being misunderstood. You become grounded, centered, free. People might not always agree with you, but they'll respect you. Because authenticity commands respect in a way that performance never can. Here's the thing, your truth will not always make you popular, but it will make you powerful. There's strength in being real, in a world built on illusion. Every time you tell your truth, you chip away at the walls that keep you disconnected from yourself. Every time you show up honestly, you give others permission to do the same. That's how authenticity spreads. Not through preaching, but through example. So stop apologizing for being different. Stop watering yourself down to make other people comfortable. Stop dimming your light because someone else is afraid of their shadow. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs the original version of you, in full color, unedited, unapologetic. It takes time to unlearn the performance. You'll slip sometimes, you'll find yourself shrinking out of habit. But every time you catch yourself and choose honesty over pretending, you take back a piece of your power. You'll realize that authenticity is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. So own it. Own your past, your flaws, your quirks, your dreams, your voice. Own the parts of yourself that you once tried to hide because they didn't fit the mold. Those parts are your strength. They make you unique, magnetic, undeniable. And when you finally live from that place, when you walk through the world unmasked and unafraid, everything changes. The right people find you. The right opportunities align with you. Life starts flowing instead of fighting. Because the universe responds to truth. It always has. Once you taste the freedom of authenticity, you'll never want to go back. You'll look at your old life, the pretending, the pleasing, the performing, and wonder how you ever thought that was living. You'll realize that being real is the ultimate rebellion in a world built on pretense. And from that moment on, you'll walk taller, speak clearer, love deeper, and live louder. Because authenticity isn't just power, it's peace. And once you learn to stop pretending and start owning, you will never be the same again. There will come a time in your life when everything you believe in will be tested. Your patience, your morals, your strength, your heart, all of it. You'll face moments where doing what's right will cost you something, and doing what's easy will tempt you with instant relief. It's in those moments that purpose and integrity become your compass. When the world shakes, they're what keep you standing straight. Purpose gives your life direction. Integrity keeps you on that path when it would be easier to drift. Together, they build the foundation of a life that means something not just to others but to you. Because success without purpose is empty, and power without integrity is poison. Most people never stop to ask themselves, why am I doing this? They get caught in the noise, chasing money, titles, validation, and somewhere along the way they forget what actually matters. They forget who they are beneath the labels and expect. But purpose doesn't come from what you have, it comes from what you give. It's the reason behind your actions, the why behind every choice. And when you live with purpose, life stops being about survival and starts being about significance. The thing about purpose is that it doesn't shout, it whispers. It's that quiet pull you feel in your gut, that nudge towards something that both excites and scares you. It's the thing that keeps calling you back, even when you've ignored it for years. You'll know its purpose because it won't go away. It will follow you into every job, every relationship, every mistake, reminding you that there's more you're meant to do. But having a purpose means nothing if you don't have integrity, because the world will test you. Make no mistake about that. It will tempt you with shortcuts, with approval, with opportunities that glitter, but don't align with your values. And in those moments, the question isn't, what can I get? It's who am I becoming? Integrity is doing the right thing, even when it costs you. It's staying true to your principles when no one is watching. It's saying no to what doesn't align, even when that no means losing something, a deal, a friend, a position, a relationship. Integrity doesn't always make you popular, but it will always make you proud. People think integrity is about morality, but it's deeper than that. It's about wholeness. The word integrity comes from the root, integer, which means whole or complete. When you live with integrity, there's no gap between who you are and what you show the world. You're the same person in private as you are in public. You don't switch masks depending on the room. You move with consistency because your sense of self is anchored in truth. The hardest thing about integrity is that it's often inconvenient. It will cost you comfort. And sometimes it will cost you people. But it will never cost you peace. You'll sleep at night knowing you didn't betray yourself for approval. And that's a kind of freedom most people never taste. Purpose and integrity are like the North Star. They don't move even when the world around you does. They guide you when you're lost, when you've failed, when you're uncertain. Because there will be days when life doesn't make sense. When everything you've built starts to fall apart. On those days, your purpose will remind you why you started, and your integrity will remind you who you are. There's strength in that. There's stability in knowing that no matter what happens, you can trust yourself. Because you've proven that you won't sell out your soul for something temporary. You won't trade your values for validation. You won't lose yourself trying to win. People without purpose drift. People without integrity crumble. But those who have both, they endure. They move with intention, not impulse. They play the long game. They don't chase attention. They chase alignment. And because of that, they build legacies instead of headlines. You'll find that purpose often comes wrapped in struggle. The things that test you the most usually shape your mission. Pain, loss, rejection. They all refine your purpose. They strip away the superficial layers and force you to confront what really matters. When life knocks you down, your purpose is what helps you get back up with a sense of direction instead of despair. Integrity, on the other hand, is built in those quiet, unseen moments. When no one is watching, when no one will know the difference, that's where integrity either grows or dies. It's in the small choices, keeping your promises, telling the truth, admitting when you're wrong, refusing to cut corners. These moments may seem small, but they add up. They shape your reputation, your relationships, your destiny. There will always be people who don't understand your commitment to integrity. They'll call you rigid, idealistic, too serious. But those same people will come to you when they need someone they can trust. Because the world is starving for authenticity, and integrity is its highest form. Purpose and integrity together give your life power. Not loud, external power, but quiet, internal power. The kind that doesn't waver under pressure. The kind that can't be bought or broken. When you live this way, you become grounded. You stop needing everyone to agree with you because you're not driven by validation. You're driven by conviction. And let's be real, the world will test you. It will put you in situations where the right choice feels like the hardest one, where doing the wrong thing would be easier, faster, or more profitable. And that's when you find out who you really are. Not when life is easy, but when doing the right thing costs you something. There's a kind of peace that comes from knowing you didn't betray yourself to win, that you stayed rooted when it would have been easier to bend, that you protected your values when no one else did. That peace is priceless, and it's rare. So when you feel lost, when life tests your patience and your principles, go back to your compass. Ask yourself, is this aligned with my purpose? Is this true to my integrity? If the answer is no, walk away. Because no amount of success is worth losing your self-respect. At the end of the day, your purpose is what gives your life meaning. Your integrity is what gives it honor. Everything else, the status, the applause, the achievements, will fade. But a life built on purpose and integrity will stand the test of time. It's the kind of legacy that doesn't need to be remembered to matter. It just does. When the world tests you, don't let it change your core. Let it refine it. Let it strengthen it. Let it prove to you that you can walk through fire and still stand tall with your truth intact and your heart unbroken, because that's what it means to live with purpose. That's what it means to live with integrity. And once you learn to lead your life by that compass, once you stop chasing what's shiny and start standing for what's solid, you will never be the same again. There comes a point when all the lessons, all the pain, all the struggle, and all the growth merge into one clear truth. You are the only constant in your story. Life will change. People will come and go. Circumstances will rise and fall. But you, the person you choose to become, that's what decides everything. You've learned that self-mastery is your power. When you control yourself, you stop being a victim of life and start being a leader in it. You've learned that pain is not punishment, but a teacher that shapes you into someone deeper, wiser, stronger. You've seen that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, try again tomorrow. You've discovered that authenticity is freedom, that pretending costs more than rejection ever could. And you've realized that purpose and integrity aren't fancy ideals. They're your compass when the world tries to pull you off course. These are not just lessons to remember. They are ways to live. Because once you learn them, truly live them, you can never go back to the person who didn't know them. You'll never again trade your peace for approval. You'll never again chase validation at the cost of your truth. You'll never again confuse comfort with happiness. You'll move differently, with calm in chaos, courage in fear, and clarity in confusion. You'll understand that strength isn't about never falling. It's about rising every time you do. You'll know that success isn't about what you have, but who you've become. And here's the truth. Most people never realize life will never stop testing you. It will never stop throwing storms your way. But once you master yourself, once you stop running from pain, once you start choosing courage, once you live authentically and hold tight to your integrity, no storm will ever be stronger than your center. You'll bend, but you won't break. You'll struggle, but you won't surrender, because you've built yourself from the inside out. So let the world test you. Let life challenge you. Let it strip away everything fake, everything weak, everything borrowed. And when the dust settles, you'll be left standing, unshakable, unstoppable, unbreakable, because you'll know exactly who you are. This is your moment to stop existing and start living, to stop waiting for the right time and start creating it, to stop fearing what could go wrong and start believing in what could go right. Once you learn these life lessons, you'll never be the same, because you'll finally understand that the power to change your life was never out there. It's been inside you all along. Now it's time to own it, to live it, to be it. Stand up, step forward, and never look back. Because the rest of your life, the real, raw, unstoppable version, starts now.